This couple retired at just 28. But you know what's really shocking? They actually started out as victims of lifestyle inflation. Then a disturbing event kicked off their FIRE journey. And afterwards, they were able to reduce $53,000 from their living expenses and retire in just 5 short years. So we gotta ask, what sparked all of this? It all started when the couple's children were born, and Regine, the husband, read the article called The Tail End by Tim Urban and realized that you've already spent 90% of your time with your kids by the time they turn 18. Drop a like if this stat also scares the shit out of ya. And before that, they were all in La La Land and partying with lifestyle inflation and ended up in a house that cost them more than $500,000. And you know what? The topic of housing is going to come up a lot in their FIRE journey, so stay tuned. But afterwards, after spending so much money and realizing that they weren't getting much happier, you know what they said? They said, we're going lifestyle deflation, baby! If this made you laugh, consider subbing for more chaotic FI content. Okay, but real talk though, Regine didn't actually say those words word for word, because from the writing, he seems like a very chill, very thoughtful dude. But you know what? I thought it would be kind of cool and a little bit rebellious if I said that. Okay, but here's an actual quote from him. Next time, when you get a raise, don't think about what you could buy to improve your life by adding to it. Think of how you could simplify your life by removing something instead. So what did they remove? Well, it's quite effective because they were able to drop their annual expenses by 60% by the time they fired. What they did first is that they first analyzed their spending by tracking the first couple of months to see where everything is going. And this is really, really effective because anything that can be tracked can be improved. You know, what they found is actually kind of surprising because the 3 biggest expenses they found is kind of different from what we talk about on this channel. Because childcare? Let me explain. Regine discovered this whole costly pipeline of going from daycare to school care to summer camp. So they asked themselves, what if we just remove it? And their solution? Become full-time parents. And the cost? 0! And on top of that, since they've kept their expenses so low, they actually can get the Canadian Child Benefit, CCD, on top of all of that. And they get about $25,000 each year for raising their 3 children. And yes, they've also brought up that using the CCB as a strategy can be a little bit controversial. But Regine genuinely believes that being a full-time parent is a legitimate contribution to society that has been neglected and undervalued for decades. And at the same time, he emphasized that they don't rely on this benefit 100%, but they have other assets to support themselves first and foremost. And skipping transportation for now, let's talk about the biggest needle mover on their FIRE journey: housing. And also why you should think twice before buying a house over $500,000. In Regine's lifestyle inflation era, they bought their dream home, but later realized in their lifestyle deflation era that this is not a good place to park their money. So they actually used local geo arbitrage to locate to a lower cost of living city and bought a fixer-upper for $90,000 in Sturgeon Falls. And they actually ended up with no mortgage and extra cash, which they actually used to invest later on. And the reason why they were able to negotiate the house for a lower than market value is because the house needed work. So Regine actually hired his dad, who is an expert in construction, and renovated the house along with him over most of his weekends. And the project was done in under a year. That's so quick. And also, whenever I mention Regine, it's Regine and his wife, okay? And you know what? By living in Sturgeon Falls is actually what helped them to reduce their transportation costs by over $3,000. How does that happen? The couple actually sold one of their 2 cars and they're down to 1 SUV. And after moving to Sturgeon Falls, they actually only needed 1 gas refill per month. ちょっと待って! How is that possible? This is because everything became walkable. The grocery, the bank, the library, the park, and even family. Like this one strategy reduced both housing and transportation. And at this point, they've cut over $50,000 a year in expenses. But here's the problem. Saving alone wasn't enough. They still needed to generate $28K a year to live. And they only had about $100K left from selling their dream house. So how did they actually make this work? The answer is in real estate again, but not in the way that you think. Here's Regine's 5-step simple formula to generate passive income via real estate. Number 1, find a low-cost area that you actually want to live in. 2, make sure there is rental demand and it's continuing to rise. 3, buy distressed properties. 4, fix them up. 5, repeat. That's it. Using this formula, the couple bought a 4-plex and a triplex. Both are fixer-uppers. And after 3 years of hard work, we're talking about 100 plus truckloads of garbage and ripping out piss-stained carpets on weekends while having full-time jobs, they were able to generate $31,000 each year in cash flow. Yippee! Now all of their living expenses are covered. Time to piece the fuck out. Wait, Ash. It's way too risky to just rely on cash flow from rental properties. What if there's a bad market crash? Well, don't you worry, honey boo. They got a plan B. That's over $1 million now, by the way. You know what's really cool? Their plan B is so simple, it's called the couch potato investing model. But don't get fooled by the trolley name, because they do be bringing you the results. So the couch potato portfolio consists of only 3 portions. A Canadian market ETF, or insert your own country's ETF, a US/international market ETF, and bonds. And depending on your risk tolerance and your investment horizon, you can change the percentage that you want to put into stocks or bonds. So a more growth-focused portfolio will have about 80% in stocks to 20% in bonds. And a little more conservative portfolio will have about 50% in stocks and 50% in bonds. Like having a really solid investment plan is also super important for any FIRE journey. So drop down below, let's say a money emoji if you want to see more investing videos to how to do this properly. The couch potato investing method is so simple, so diversified, and so low cost. But you know what? Regine took this even one step further, and in the book, they discussed that they found a one-fund solution, which is the VGROW Vanguard Growth Market ETF. And this fund always has a split of 80% stocks and 20% bonds. So with one simple rebalancing every single year, and boom, you're done! And back to couch rotting for the next 364 days. I do have to be honest and say that this 5-year FIRE journey is a little bit extreme, which they have also said in their book. Not to mention, they started their FIRE journey with a $200,000 equity when they sold their dream home, plus another $200,000 that they have saved in other investing accounts. And when they reflected back on their full throttle grind, they actually said they could have gone a little bit slower and still succeeded. Click here to see how some real people retired in their 30s. And click here if you want to find out how you can do it in 10 to 15 years. Which one are you gonna choose? Which venture are you gonna go on? Let's go! Okay, bye!